Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, bringing you some of the best college football news, predictions, and analysis. Make sure to like this video and check out all the exclusive college football content and offers we have in the description below. We are entering the final week of the regular season in college football, Rivalry Week, which means conference title races are heating up, and absolutely the college football playoff race is heating up. And as we've done the past few weeks, we are here to give you our official top 25, the Gridiron Experts top 25 going in to Rivalry Week. It's no secret that we don't always agree with the committee. We did not agree with their first two sets of rankings they put out this year. We agreed slightly with them last year. We had 9 out of the 25 teams ranked that we agreed with. We had them spot on with the rankings last week. We had 4 that we were off by just 1. So 13 of our 25 were correct or within 1 with the committee. And we're not trying to match them. We're ranking them the way they should be. The committee might be matching our rankings. But like we've done the past few weeks, we're here to break down these rankings for every single team. Once again, that's something that you're not going to get anywhere else. You won't get that on the playoff selection show. You won't get that on the ranking shows. You won't get that from any other source. We're here to break down why these top 25 teams are ranked the way they are. So we will start with the most important top 10. And more specifically, the top 4, and I'll even go all the way down to the top 6 as of right now. Not many changes at all within the top 6 or 7. No changes at all in the top 5. LSU remains number 1, Ohio State at 2, Clemson at 3, Georgia at 4, and Alabama at 5. And some people might be saying that there needs to be some changes there. And I'm here to tell you that as of right now, there does not need to be. There is no need for any changes in the top 5 right now. LSU beat Arkansas by 36, no big deal. We knew that was going to happen. They've clinched the SEC West. They get past Texas A&M. We already know they're going to go to the title game. They get past Texas A&M and Georgia. They're the number 1 seed. No-brainer, unless they, of course, struggle mightily in those games. Ohio State, they beat Penn State 28-17. That's a top 10 win. So while a lot of people say that maybe Ohio State should jump LSU for that number 1 spot, I'm still saying we need to pump the brakes on that and keep the Tigers up at number 1. I still think they have some more quality wins at Ohio State right now. Margin of victory does play a role for some people. It does on occasion for us. If Ohio State had dominated Penn State, maybe we could have made a case for them to move up. But they were up 21-0, but some turnovers allowed the Nittany Lions to make it a closer game than I think Ohio State would have wanted. Clemson, they had a bye week, no need to change them. And then Georgia coming in at number 4, beating Texas A&M 19-13 in Athens. So once again, probably a closer game than Georgia would have hoped and would have wanted, but they got the win, and that is what matters the most. It starts to get interesting when you look at teams 5 through 10. This is where it starts to get complicated. And I'll even throw Georgia in the mix here, guys, because Kirk Herbstreit put it best. You should put a little asterisk mark over by Georgia, because they will make or break this entire top 4. We already know that Oregon went down. They're number 13, and we'll touch on them in a second. Oregon losing helped Alabama tremendously, because we know Alabama cannot win the SEC. So if they get past Auburn in this week's Iron Bowl, there's a good chance that Alabama could get into the top 4 because of Oregon's loss. But you look at Georgia here, right now they're a placeholder. And let me tell you what, their win over Texas A&M was not impressive by any means. Georgia fans, I hate to say it, it wasn't. It was not pretty, it was not impressive, but you got the win. But they're a placeholder right now. We know that if Georgia loses to LSU, even if it's by 1 point, Georgia is not making the college football playoff. Georgia has to beat LSU. And if Georgia does beat LSU, and LSU beats Texas A&M, then I don't see any way the committee can drop the number 1 seed, the number 1 team in the country in LSU, has dominated all season long. I don't see any way the committee can drop them from 1 all the way to 5 and out of the top 4. Which means if Georgia beats LSU, you are more than likely getting 2 teams into the college football playoff, into the Final Four. So Georgia will make or break what happens for everybody below them as of right now. If they win, Alabama, Utah, Oklahoma, they can probably kiss their playoff hopes goodbye. If they lose, all of these teams are very much still alive. So, Georgia, put that little mark by their name right now. They are going to make or break. They're place holding at number 4 right now, but it may or may not last depending on what happens in Atlanta in just a few weeks. We've got Alabama right here at number 5. They beat Western Carolina. Not a big deal. We knew it was going to happen. A dominant win from Mac Jones and a dominant performance from Mac Jones, obviously coming in as replacement for Tua Tagovailoa. So Alabama up here at number 5, followed closely by Utah, who was just dominating their opponents left and right. They move up one spot from our rankings from last week. Remember, the changes in these rankings are not based on the previous college football playoff rankings. They're based on our previous Gridiron expert rankings. So Utah moving up one spot, going up from 7th to 6th because of Oregon's loss to Arizona State. Utah, they win this upcoming week. They clinch the South. If they beat Oregon, it's a very good chance that the Utes could get into this top 4, assuming Georgia loses. That the committee is going to have a tough decision, guys, whether if Georgia loses, do they put in a one-loss Alabama? Do they put in a one-loss conference champion in Utah, assuming they can beat Oregon? Do you put in a one-loss conference champion in Oklahoma or Baylor, depending on who wins the Big 12 championship? And that's, of course, assuming that Oklahoma can get past Oklahoma State this Saturday. The Sooners have not looked impressive at all, narrowly beating TCU 28-24 in Norman, I should add. So they're not looking impressive. They fall to Oklahoma State. Oklahoma is done. Baylor still very much in the hunt, but would the win over a 2-loss Oklahoma team look as impressive in the Big 12 championship game? So many factors coming into play here, and that's why this upcoming week of college football and then conference championship week is so important when it comes down to deciding who makes the Final Four. So we've got Utah here. We mentioned Oklahoma. Michigan, I have coming in at number 8. Some people will say that's too high. Hear me out. Michigan is playing some phenomenal football. We've got them up 3 spots. We had them at 11 last week. They're up to number 8 right now. Something clicked in this Michigan team. We've said it before and we'll say it again. Something clicked in this Michigan team in the second half of that Penn State loss. They went to Happy Valley. They lost by a touchdown. It was a super close game. Had a chance to tie it, dropped the pass in the end zone, and then something happened. Their offense just came alive. They just went on the road to a 7-3 Indiana team who, like Michigan, went into Happy Valley and only lost to the Nittany Lions by 7. Went on the road to that Indiana team and beat them 39-14 behind 366 passing yards and 5 passing touchdowns from Shea Patterson. So this offense is clicking, guys. This offense for Michigan is hitting their stride. They're hitting it at the right time. Do I think they can beat Ohio State? Probably not, although they will have home field advantage. The game, once again, assume nothing. Anything can happen on any given Saturday. In rivalry games, you throw records out the window, so nothing matters in a rivalry game. History means nothing. So watch out for Michigan here. I've got up number 8 because of the way their offense is playing, because of the way they are just steamrolling their opponents, including a win over Notre Dame a few weeks ago, we should add. So Jim Harbaugh is getting the best out of his Wolverines. They cannot win the Big Ten East, but they're sitting at number 8 right now and in a prime spot to make a New Year's Six bowl game and really shake up the playoff race if they can somehow upset the Buckeyes on Saturday. And I've got Minnesota and Baylor, both one-loss teams, both moving up 4 spots from our rankings last week. Minnesota up 13th to 9th, Baylor up from 14 to number 10. And I put them ahead of a team like Florida because the Gators did not play this past week. They're not getting punished for that by any means, but Baylor beat Texas by 14. A phenomenal comeback win for Baylor following that devastating loss to Oklahoma. They didn't come back against Texas, obviously, but to come back mentally and emotionally following that devastating loss to the Sooners, to come back and beat Texas by 14, shutting down that offense just to 10 points. Credit to Matt Rule and the Bears for that, keeping their playoff hopes alive. Same for Minnesota here. They get handed their first loss to Iowa. They bounce back. They beat a struggling Northwestern team. Although allowing 22 points to one of the worst offenses in college football, not a huge fan of that. But nonetheless, Minnesota sitting at 9. They beat Wisconsin, where game day is going this Saturday, and you've got a huge showdown between Ohio State and Minnesota in the Big Ten championship game. So that rounds out your top 10 guys, legitimate playoff contenders from LSU to Baylor. I think that's where you draw the line. Florida can't make it. They're not going to the SEC championship. Notre Dame can't make it. They have 2 losses. Oregon, even if they win the Pac-12 championship, a place they've already clinched a spot in, even if they beat Utah in the Pac-12 championship, they're not going to the playoff. So this is it. This is it. Baylor up are your playoff contenders. Everybody else is just trying to play spoiler and improve their record and improve where they will be going bowling in 2019. So we have Florida here. We have Notre Dame at 12, staying at 12. I know a lot of my Notre Dame guys out there. I know Brody. I know Johnny Bays. I know Ray. I know all of you guys are hoping and saying that Notre Dame, how are they still 12th? Why can't they move up? I want to give all the credit in the world to Notre Dame for beating Boston College 40-7. I mean, phenomenal. They're playing some solid football. Since that Michigan loss where they got annihilated, they are playing some very, very good football outside of maybe the 1-point victory over what's looking like a now very solid Virginia Tech team. But they killed Boston College. They killed Navy, who just beat SMU. But with the 2 losses, I can't justify putting Notre Dame over Florida. I can't justify putting Notre Dame in the top 10 over the likes of Baylor and Minnesota or even Michigan. Obviously, Michigan beating Notre Dame, but can't put them above them. But 2 one-loss teams here, still playoff contenders. Florida playing some solid ball. I couldn't justify dropping them 3 spots. So Notre Dame, higher in our rankings than the playoff committee is giving them credit for, so you can take pride in that. We have them higher than any other rankings, any other poll out there, but I can't justify moving them up. So Notre Dame stays at 12. Oregon drops 7 spots from 6th to 13th. That's to be expected following a loss at Arizona State, one that we saw coming, one that we predicted way, way back in the summer. We knew Oregon was going to be good, but we just thought that was going to be a trap game. And Herm Edwards proved us right and shocked the country by beating the Ducks and ruining their playoff hopes. So they dropped from 6th to 13th, but still can play spoiler and still can win a Pac-12 championship, guys. Keep that in mind. Oregon can win the Pac-12. They can go to the Rose Bowl, and that certainly counts for something. Wisconsin coming in at 14, moving up just 1 spot. They beat Purdue by 21, taking care of business as good teams should. Huge showdown against Minnesota this Saturday. Once again, Wisconsin not really in the running to make the playoff, but they are in the running to make the Big Ten championship game if they can beat the Golden Gophers on Saturday. So a huge showdown between these two, of course, the site of College Game Day. We got Memphis coming in at 15, moving up 1 spot. They dominate South Florida 49-10. And it shouldn't be surprising that Memphis is 15. What should be a little surprising is that in recent weeks, we've had Cincinnati right behind Memphis. And in some cases, we've had Memphis right behind Cincinnati. Well, now we've got Iowa in between the two. So we've got a little buffer here between Memphis and Cincinnati, which makes the Tigers the highest ranked, and still did in prior weeks, but gives them a greater lead as the highest ranked Group of 5 team as of right now. I think Memphis is playing the best football out of the Group of 5 right now. I think if I had to choose, who do I think deserves to go to a New Year's 6 bowl game out of those Group of 5 teams? Memphis. Absolutely 100%. They beat South Florida by 39. Cincinnati only managed to beat South Florida by 3. And I know Memphis lost to Temple, and I know that Cincinnati just beat Temple by just 2 points. Cincinnati's not showing me that they're one of the best out there. Their margins of victory, regardless of who the opponent is against, it's not proving much to me. That win against South Florida was not that impressive. A couple of their previous wins, allowing 40-something points to East Carolina a few weeks ago, not impressive to me at all. So I'm not sold on Cincinnati quite yet, but these two teams do meet on Friday with some major, major New Year's 6 bowl game implications on the line. And luckily for the Tigers, they are hosting that game. Analysis on that game coming out on Tuesday in our Week 14 Rivalry Week predictions. So we got Memphis here, Iowa at 16, moving up 2 spots. They beat a solid Illinois team, 19-10. Illinois going bowling under Lovie Smith. So give some credit to the Fighting Illini and maybe give some credit to Lovie Smith's beard. Man, I tell you what, that thing is awesome. So Iowa coming in at 16, Cincinnati at 17, Auburn moving up 2 spots, easy win over Samford. But to me, they deserve to move up a few spots over the likes of Boise State and Oklahoma State. Boise staying stagnant at 19, crushed Utah State, and depending on what happens here between Memphis and Cincinnati, the Broncos are in prime position to make that New Year's 6 bowl game. So do not count Boise State out of that bowl spot. You know, if Memphis were to lose and then Cincinnati were to lose in the American Athletic Conference Championship, remember, it's the highest ranked group of 5 conference champions, so they've got to win their conference anyways. Boise State still in a prime spot for that, and the same for Appalachian State, who just beat Texas State and is looking like the big front runner out of the Sun Belt. I really don't know anybody that can beat the Mountaineers in that conference as of right now. We got Oklahoma State coming in at 20th. They just beat West Virginia on the road without Spencer Sanders and without a rushing touchdown from Chuba Hubbard. So keep that in mind, guys. Despite all of that, they go on the road and defeat a West Virginia team that just last week, or 2 weeks ago maybe I should say, went on the road and beat a ranked Kansas State squad. The Kansas State squad that beat Oklahoma in the same building, in the same stadium. So once again, college football, assume nothing. Any given Saturday, anything can happen from any given team. So you don't know what is possible. Some teams wake up for these games, some teams don't. Some teams are just, more hyped for games, some are not. I mean, it's just unbelievable what can happen in college football. It's extremely unpredictable. But Oklahoma State, I was impressed with the way they played, coming out with a late stop in the red zone against the Mountaineers. I've got them at 20th. I've got Virginia Tech moving up 4 spots after their 28-0 win over Pittsburgh. That was impressive, guys. We had Virginia Tech sitting at 25 last week, just barely making the cut. And that was one of our biggest games of last week, saying, this game between Pittsburgh and Virginia Tech had major ACC Coastal title implications. Now Virginia Tech is 1 win away from their rival in Virginia from making the ACC title game, which, like I said, earlier this season, for many Hokies fans, probably did not seem possible. So with that dominant performance, they've moved up 4 spots, one of our biggest risers in our rankings this week, 25 to 21. We mentioned Appalachian State. We've got USC and Iowa State cracking our top 25. Finally, last week the playoff committee put them in, and I was shocked. I was shocked that they put 2 4-loss teams in the top 25. We did not have them in ours. But after watching both teams play this week, I decided to put them in there. USC at 23, they're on a roll. They've won 5 of their past 6. That includes a win at Arizona State, a team that just beat Oregon. They annihilated Arizona. They annihilated UCLA in their final game of the season. They finished the year 8-4. So I like the Trojans in there. And depending on what happens with Utah this week, USC still has a chance to get into the Pac-12 championship game. So you better watch out. Crazy things have happened. So USC there. Iowa State, they beat Kansas in a game that was closer than I think many expected, but got the win. A win is a win is a win, and that's what matters. Iowa State, despite 4 losses, crack our top 25, and Navy makes a return right there at 25. They get annihilated by Notre Dame by 32. Come back, though, and come back down 21-10 against SMU. Go on a 25-7 run to beat the Mustangs 35-28, who at the time, SMU was a ranked team. They dropped out of our top 25. They should drop out of the college football playoff top 25 when the committee releases their poll on Tuesday. So Navy makes the return spot just barely with our last spot in our Week 14 top 25. We have this one. We have the one following rivalry week. And then we have our final set of rankings, who we believe will be in the top 4 following conference championship weekend. So we are just 2 weeks away, guys, from knowing who's going to be in the top 4, who's going to be in the college football playoff, who's going to be in these coveted New Year's 6 bowl games. We mentioned at the beginning, conference races are heating up. The playoff race is heating up. And nothing could be further from the truth. It's getting real. Rivalry week is here, guys. We've got coverage for it all week long. I can promise you don't want to miss any of it. Prediction videos coming out on Tuesday. Game of the week videos coming out all this week. Tons of content coming your way for one of the biggest weeks in all of college football. So guys, thank you for watching us here on YouTube. Make sure to like this video and check out all the content in the description below. You do not want to miss it. And once again, thank you for watching. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.